Princess Rhaenys arrives on Dragonstone to announce King Viserys' death and Prince Aegon ascending the throne. The news shocks Rhaenyra into premature labor and a stillbirth as Daemon pressures Rhaenyra to take to war. When Sir Eric brings Viserys' crown, Rhaenyra is declared queen. Sir Otto Hightower presents King Aegon II's generous terms for Rhaenyra's concession, among them her rights to retain her titles as a royal princess, her sons their rights to inherit Driftmark, and her rights to retain Dragonstone. Daemon is enraged when Rhaenyra considers conceding to unify the realm against the northern threat foretold by Aegon the Conqueror's dream. Enraged, he chokes Rhaenyra, realizing Viserys never told him about the dream when he was his heir. Lord Corlys pledges House Valerian's allegiance to Rhaenyra's Black faction. Daemon plans to recruit more dragon riders and awakens a large dragon, Vermithor, hibernating in a cave. Princess Jacaerys and Lucerys are sent as envoys to secure houses Aeryn Stark and Baratheon as allies. Lucerys meets with Lord Boros Baratheon and discovers Prince Aemon is there. King Aegon II has offered Boros a political alliance through marriage between his daughter and Aemon. Boros asserts Rhaenyra has offered nothing. Lucerys flees on his dragon, Eryx, but Aemon pursues him on Vhagar. The fractious dragons defy their riders. Eryx burns Vhagar, Vhagar then devours Lucerys and Eryx, stunning Aemon. Rhaenyra is devastated and enraged upon receiving the news. Thanks for stopping by the Surge T channel. I am Surge T, and that is the synopsis of Season 1's season finale, and that is the episode 10 entitled The Black Queen. And when you look at Rhaenyra's face, her expression, you know that it's on. And you know that she is going to bring down, no pun intended, the fire on those that she feels has been for traitorous actions, has defied her birthright and defied her. And she lost Luke. I mean, and you know, when you look at that scene, and you know that action, even though Aemon wasn't in charge of Vhagar at that point, Vhagar was retaliating for what Eryx did to him, blew fire on him. And at that point, they couldn't control their dragons. I mean, even Luke was like, telling Eryx no. He says, listen to me, obey me. And I believe that when Aemon heard that, that's the reason why probably he right at that point, he knew that that wasn't done intentionally. And this definitely is the start of that, the domino effect. Because if usurping Rhaenyra's right to the throne and crowning Aegon wasn't enough to start a war, this action definitely is going to set that in motion. And I gotta say though, this episode, unfortunately, it wasn't a shock when he was killed, when Luke was killed, because in looking around and when I'm editing my videos and I'm looking for clips to add, I specifically put in episode 9, the Green Council. And all of a sudden I'm going down, looking at clips that I can use, and then it says, Vhagar kills Luke, or Lucerys. I'm like, huh. It didn't really make me upset. It was just like, man, I wish people wouldn't put that out there. But of course, this ended, this episode aired in October, so it's been up there, and I get it, But when I put in specifically episode 9, I expect episode 9 to show up, and not episode 10, and especially not the spoiler. But it still was shocking, in the sense that the way it happened, it was like not even the intention of Aemon. And there you go. His nephew is dead. Brutally. I mean, Vagar swallowing him whole along with Arax. I'm thinking, what a brutal way to go. You see what happens on both ends, right? The one thing about it is that when Otto Hightower went and met with Daemon and Daemon at first, in his night watch, his knights there. He asks for Rhaenyra and she shows up. The one thing about it is like, why? It just seems like that he didn't mention it, or maybe that was part of his scheme, like to say that well, there was a dream. You know, your father talked to his wife, the queen, your friend Alicent, that Aegon was to ascend the throne, to be the rightful heir. Of course, she tells Daemon later on about that. Daemon is upset, chokes her within an inch of her life because he wasn't told when he was heir. And I was wondering why, you know. It wouldn't have smoothed things over. But she could have at least said, oh, okay, a misunderstanding. No, it's about, you know, Aegon the Conqueror and his dream. You know, the dream that Viserys had about Aegon the Conqueror. Wasn't your Aegon, wasn't her brother, right? But, you know, what's done is done. And it set into motion them in episode 9, you know, crowning Aegon as king. And then Daemon, with the help of Sir Eric, who brings the crown there, and he crowns her queen. And then they get Corlys. Lord Corlys is okay. He's on the mend. He's still pretty weak. He had to use a cane to walk into the meeting there that they had. He pledges allegiance to stand by Queen Rhaenyra. At first he didn't want to. He thought that everything she touches turns to crap, pretty much. Always problems with that girl, he said. And then Rhaenys says, no, you know, she's the one who didn't want war. She wants peace in the realm. Because she doesn't want to, you know, lord over, or, you know, rule over ash and bone, you know. Like, they have their dragons ready, they have their dragons outnumber, you know, the high towers, you know, their dragons and all that. He even awakens a huge dragon. I mean, this thing made Vagar look like a little pup. Speaking of that, when Luke went away, I mean, one of the Baratheon, Boris Baratheon, who reminds me of Robert Baratheon. I mean, he has that same demeanor, that same overbearing, you know, about him. And then, he's calling him pup. You know, go away, pup. You don't got nothing for me. You don't want to marry one of my daughters because he's already betrothed, as Luke told him. Go on, go leave, you know. And then when he went on his dragon, and when you compare Lucerys' dragon to Vagar, it's like it's a little pup too, you know. But this episode is really just hard hitting. It's sad because of what happened to Luke. He was just an envoy, just a messenger. He even told Aemon, he said, I'm not going to fight because Aemon wants his eye. Just give me your eye. Throws him his little dagger. Said, I'm not going to fight you. I'm here as a messenger and not a warrior. As his mother had made him and his brother, you know, Jacaerys, put their hand on the eyes of the seven. It was a book. And she said, look, just before the eyes of the seven, they put their hand on it and said that I will not fight. I will not engage. You see Luke pretty much, you know, hold to his oath to his mother. Said, no, I won't fight. Even says, mother, I mean your highness. And she kind of, in her mind, she kind of like, you know, put her hand on his hand, pretty much saying that it's okay, you can call me mom, you know. But it was sad. It was sad that he was dead. But if anything wasn't going to convince her to go to war, this did. And what about Aemon? He's gonna go back to Queen's Landing, or King's Landing, I should say, Queen's Landing, and tell his mother, the Queen, Alicent, and others that his actions, although inadvertent, led to the death of, you know, Prince Jacaerys. Not Jacaerys, Prince Lucerys, Luke. It's it is something, you know, when you think about death and you think about loss and tragedy in this tale. We know coming from Game of Thrones what that was about. Everything that happened. Joffrey's poisoning to what happened to Robb, the Red Wedding, all those tragic events, all those things. And here it seems like it's just starting up. It's just amping up, even though we did lose quite a bit. You know, Rhaenyra. You know, we of course the Stones. You know, the father of Jacaerys and Lucerys. The king, the queen, the king's death. Even before that, his Queen Emma, his wife, she died giving birth to their son who died as well. And I wonder what two is going to be about. You know, what is two going to entail? I mean, I know what's going to happen, but especially because we know that it's going to start out pretty, probably like really just right out the gate. Going to have a war happening. Reminds me of Lord of the Rings, right? The first one was just the beginning of it, right? And then the second one, all about battle, all about action, all about war, going to battle against the orcs and all that stuff, trying to get all the people together that they can to fight them off and things like that. Of course, in the Return of the King, that's when you had the help of the, of those ghosts. What was it? Oh, I forgot the name of them, but a really great epic, franchise there. The all three films. One of my favorite franchises of all time. Right up there with Indiana Jones and Star Wars and like that. Back to the Future. Yes, I even liked Part 3, guys. Okay. But yeah, I really did enjoy this. I really do give a lot of props to everybody who in this series that acts, from Emma Darcy to Rhys Ifans, who plays Otto Hightower, one of my favorite characters. Although he's a weasel, right? Although he's a guy who is just like, you just, I don't know what to say about him. He's so intent on getting his grandson Aegon to be king. He does anything to do that. Even at times goes behind his daughter's back. His daughter knew. She was in on it some time back, but this time when they were doing it here, she wasn't involved. When they finally made that, they're gonna do it. They're gonna ascend him to the to the throne. But we see just a lot happen in this episode. You see maybe a friction, and maybe a breaking apart of the marriage of Daemon and Rhaenyra. A little bit of a domestic dispute, if you will. We saw Lord Corlys, which is good. He's on the mend, he's back, but he's all talking about how he lost a lot, but yet he turned his back on his granddaughters and on his wife, and she even lets him know it. She's not going to let him get away with his pitying and sorrowing and all that stuff by himself. She's like, you lost, we lost, Corlys, not you, not just you. You leave in the wake of their kids' deaths, Leonor and Leona. Leona, I'm trying to remember, but they're kids. Even though Leonor is still alive, but who knows where he's at? Well, we know where he's at, but what he's doing now, who knows? But this whole entire series was really just an amazing show. I'm glad that they did get it right, and maybe there's some things that I didn't notice that maybe they didn't cover, but it definitely is something that much better than how Game of Thrones, especially with season 8. Even though I didn't have a real problem with it, but I understand what the mistakes were and the rushing of the season and not going to 10 season. That's what they had. They had that permission to do 10 season, but they wanted to cram a lot of stuff into season 8, and that's the reason why what happened. But here, off to a good start. You have season 1 in the books, and they have this 10. I think it's a 10 episode or 10 part series of behind the scenes of the making of the House of the Dragon. I'm gonna check that out because I really, really want to see what goes on, and I want to see the kidding around and stuff like that. Because I like that when I saw it behind the scenes in Game of Thrones. You see, Arya and and her brothers and sisters, the actors that play them, they're behind the scenes, they're kidding around, they're goofing around. It's really funny. It's really fun. They must be having a blast. And I like the fact that I heard familiar names of the houses that they wanted to stand by Queen Rhaenyra, and it was the Starks, the Baratheons, and the Tarleys, and of course Sam Tarley, Robert Baratheon, and of course Ned Stark and Sansa and all them, right? But I really enjoyed this episode, and I enjoyed the entire season. It's a really, really good show. I'm sure there's some detractors out there, people that didn't enjoy it, and that's fine if that's your thing. And I'm an honest person. I would definitely say if I didn't like this, and I enjoyed every episode. Some more than others, but every episode was good. It moved the story along. It was a very linear, very well written. This focused. There's a lot of focus in this season. A lot in the storytelling. The acting is on point. You get these guys like E. Best and others, like I said, Emma Darcy and Rhys Ifans, who had an amazing cast from the young kids, even the kids, the ones that played the young kids, Jacaerys and Lucerys, and Leona's daughters. I mean, all of them. They all present something to this show. You can tell that they didn't spare any expense, and they spared no. They just went after the actors that they felt would bring these characters to life, and they did. And I totally enjoyed this, as I did, like I said, the entire season. And I can't wait for season 2. Don't know when it's going to air. Even I don't know. I haven't heard any news about even when they're going to start filming. But like I said, a very good episode, a very good ending. You see, it leaves us with that last, expression, the look on Rhaenyra's face when she finds out that her son was killed. Was she told that it was Aemon? And how did they get the news? That's something. It might have been sent to them. Aemon probably went there, told them, and then they sent a raven with a message to them, or sent somebody to tell them. Told Daemon. Maybe Daemon cut the guy's head off. Who knows? But like I said, it's on, and I'm pretty sure that when we see season 2 episode 1 drop, they're going to be in the middle of a war. Maybe they won't even show a starting of it. It's probably going to be right in the middle. Dragons blowing fire and people burning to a crisp, because she's not going to be like, let's keep the peace of the realm. She's going to be like, let's burn them. If I have to rule over ash and bone, so be it. I'm pretty sure that's what she's going to do now. She's not going to hold back now. You take away her son, she's going to be taking away some other people's sons. And fathers and mothers too, probably too, and children. She's probably going to just burn, it's just going to be amazing. It's going to be a great season 2. And they need to top season 1, but let's see how they do. But anyway, that is my recap and thoughts. My review of episode 10, The Black Queen, of season 1 of House of the Dragon. For those of you who have stopped by and watched my entire recaps of season 1, thank you so much for stopping by. I appreciate it. My sub count is going up little by little, and I appreciate that. Maybe my goal this year will be 1,000 subscribers. I'm on 560. If I can make a real serious number, maybe 700 by the end of this year, which would be a great showing for me and my channel. I mean, because I definitely appreciate those who have dropped comments and told me that they like my reviews, and kind of exchange comments with me, and I appreciate that. And thank you for allowing my channel to grow little by little. It's okay, you know. I'm in for the long haul, and you know, if I can make 1,000 subs in due time, I'll be happy. You know, and then from then on, we can just move on to more and more subs and more notoriety for my channel and more people to see it. And I hope that I can reach that goal of 1,000 subs this year. If not 700, that's probably more logical, but we'll see. But anyway, that's my video. So for those of you who stopped by and checked it out, I appreciate it. I thank you for your support, as always. And in closing, as always, take care.